Oh, brother. This hurts. This really, really hurts because it feels good. It feels bad. It feels good because it's like, hey, it's so amazing that this guy can excel. But it feels bad because it's like, hey, wait a minute. The Vancouver Canucks might have really screwed up here. Today we're talking about Edmonton Oilers forward Vasili Podkolzin and just how much he is proving the Vancouver Canucks, and in particular, Rick Tocchet, wrong. You see, Vasili Podkolzin was taken in the 10th overall spot by the Vancouver Canucks in the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. Make no mistake, was it like a bad pick? Yeah, the point production of the guys taken after Pods would probably indicate that. Matt Boldy was a guy a lot of Canucks fans wanted. I personally wanted Cole Caulfield. Newhook, Krebs were also on the board. Thomas Harley as a top defenseman and an Olympian. Meanwhile, Vasili Podkolzin went 10th overall to the Vancouver Canucks. And look, even if you go onto my YouTube channel here and you search up the Podkolzin draft pick, you can see my reaction to the selection back in 2019 was not very positive. And where exactly is the draft video? Here it is. My ugly mug was on the video footage for this one, and you could see me reacting to it live. I had a look of shock on my face. I was like, wait, they just took Podkolzin. That's crazy. I wanted Caulfield so bad. What could I say? Anyways, it's so good to see Podkolzin doing what he is doing, because right now in Edmonton, he's doing amazingly well. But it hurts because for the Vancouver Canucks, you could genuinely go out there and say that Patrik Allvin'S just made a really big mistake. Pete Edwards went out there and said this: the Vasili Podkolzin trade will go down as Allvin'S Gustav Forsling moment. Of course, Gustav Forsling, former Vancouver Canucks defenseman prospect, he was traded around a bunch and ended up in Florida. And, oh, was he traded a bunch? No, I think he was just traded once. I'm confusing Gustav Forsling with the Adam Clendennings of the world. Let's just clarify that really quick. Gustav Forsling, Florida Panthers guy, drafted by Vancouver, of course. And, oh yeah, no, he was traded around a bunch. Ah, my bad. He was traded over to Chicago, then traded to Carolina, and then sent over to Florida, and now Gustav Forsling is a two-time Stanley Cup championship winning defenseman. Pretty great. Ah, man, that's unfortunate. The Gustav Forsling trade to Chicago is no longer available on their website. Anyways, Pete Edwards said that the Podkolzin trade will go down as Allvin'S Gustav Forsling moment. And the top reply indicates a lot of what went down behind the scenes. Tocchet didn't want him, and Edmonton or another team would have claimed him on waivers anyway. He needed to go to a team like Edmonton to find his game and his role. Podkolzin's value was destroyed by coaching and deployment. Getting a fourth for him at a time was pretty appropriate value as a result. Setting that pick on fire would have been better than what they ended up doing with it, though, because as we all remember, the Vancouver Canucks traded that fourth-round pick back to Edmonton for Evander Kane. Meanwhile, you take a look at what Podkolzin is doing in the playoffs this year. Against the Anaheim Ducks in game number 5 yesterday, he kicked things off with the opening goal. He's got 5 points in 5 games and has more playoff points than any Canucks player since he entered the league. Remember when Vancouver's coaches said he wasn't an NHL caliber player? You might be asking yourself, wait a minute, what? He said that? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Podkolzin himself said that he was told he wasn't an NHL caliber player by Rick Tocchet. In 2023, he was fighting for a spot versus Phil DiGiuseppe. And in 2024, he lost his spot to Daniel Sprong. Podkolzin had more goals this year than PDG, and Sprong had points last season combined. And both of these guys are no longer NHL players. Yeah, If you take a look at Vasili Podkolzin, not only did he have 37 points in 82 games in the regular season, but he's a point per game in the playoffs. And he has gone out there with a point in every game except for one. You've got Leon Draisaitl going out there and praising the heck out of Vasili Podkolzin, saying that the guy plays a really smart brand of hockey that people that aren't educated on the game will understand. Draisaitl said he loves playing with Podkolzin. He's an underrated player who does a lot of work that separates the space for him to do his own damage. Draisaitl gives singing praise to Vasili Podkolzin. And for the Vancouver Canucks, it's like, Rick Tocchet said he's not an NHL player. How crazy is that? Looking at all the replies to this tweet, by the way, 130,000 views. Congrats, Sap, that's a pretty big one. How do you explain Tocchet's strengths as a coach with so many of his weaknesses? He seems to really destroy some players, and I think he had a hand in destroying Pettersson. His strengths are his defensive structure and the vibes amongst the players he loves, not to mention details, aka the little things. The weaknesses are that he's stubborn, he struggles to coach non-English speakers, offensive repetition, a tendency to sit back, and he seemingly expects all players to play the same way. It's why it's so bizarre that Trevor Zegras in Philadelphia is actually doing good work with Rick Tocchet, because it's like, hey, wait a minute, this is the exact kind of player that Tocchet just generally doesn't vibe with. But then it's like, Zegras is an American dude, he's an English-speaking dude, so there is a lot more of a connection there. Tocchet, even though he is a Canadian, he was on Team Canada this entire time, it seems like he did have a lot of camaraderie and positive vibes with the Quinn Hugheses and the Garlands and the JT Millers, etc., so he vibes well with Americans. Definitely not Russians like we were seeing with Matvei Mishkov and with Podkolzin. Not to mention Andrei Kuzmenko. Swedes too, EP40. It just doesn't really work with Tocchet and these European guys. Take a look at what Mark Spector said yesterday at the start of Game 5. Podkolzin is a man possessed early in this game. He has turned into an excellent player who raises his game come playoff time. TJ Smith would argue he has been a solid regular season player too. Consistency and always improving, plays hard, very few nights off. And honestly, that's exactly what we had come to expect out of Vasili Podkolzin ever since the guy was drafted. There was that tournament that he had played in, the Hlinka Gretzky Cup back in 2018, where he was the captain of the Russian squad. He had 11 points in 5 games and 8 goals on top of that too. In this tournament, that's the tournament where Craig Button went out there and said that, Podkolzin, this guy's a 3rd overall caliber guy, behind Jack Hughes, and I think the 2nd overall pick projected back in that time frame was at Krebs. It wasn't Capo Caco yet. I think it might have been, I'm not really too sure. It was probably Broberg. I think it was Broberg. There's a TSN video clip of the 2019 mock draft back in September of 2018. But Jack Hughes would have been number 1. Broberg probably would have been 2, and then Podkolzin was like 3rd. The guy was a top prospect because of what he had done at that Hlinka Gretzky Cup. He scored all these goals, he was sniping it, he was a bulldog, he was going out there and just plummeting over guys whilst controlling the puck. It's why when Craig Button said that there's Datsukian-like qualities to the leadership and the buzzsaw-like motor that Podkolzin plays with, it seemed like a really great package, and then the Canucks got him at 10th overall, but the problem was Podkolzin, by the time the season had ended, had slipped as far as number 11 after being touted as a top 3 guy for most of the year. He didn't have the best draft-eligible year after that Hlinka Gretzky tournament. He didn't have the best post-draft junior career either, developing in SKA St. Petersburg. It took him a long time to find stability in the National Hockey League when Rick Tocchet came in, and now, after trading him away for a 4th, he's a point-per-game guy in the playoffs and arguably Edmonton's best player. So, Patrik Allvin'S. Great move, eh? It's his magnum opus, the Gustav Forsling Allvin'S style. With that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. How do you feel about Vasili Podkolzin and the way he has worked his magic in the Oilers system? How do you feel about the way he's played so far? I hope you enjoyed this video. 9 and bye.